You know when it's like cloudy and rainy and you just like don't want to get out of bed and you just feel kind of meh? That's like been this whole week. It's not a good time. Anyways, today's video, I'm gonna go through my notes app. You may be wondering, Grace, why are you doing a video on what's in your notes app? That's so strange and random. But you can tell a lot about a person by how they use their notes app and what they deem important to write down and what kinds of things they write down. And I just think it would be really interesting. So here I am. I do clean out my notes app quite often, just like I clean out just like the files in my downloads folder. It's kind of like the same thing to me. So I just use the general notes app that comes with the iPhone. I like that it's backed up on iCloud. So it's the same when I go from my iPhone to my MacBook to my Mac to wherever, and it's just nice because it syncs up. And I've been using it for a long time and it's dependable and I like it a lot. I have just general notes, I have an acting folder, I have an archive folder for notes that are old and kind of unimportant but still important enough to not delete and keep for an indefinite amount of time. I have a folder for books, I have a folder for my side hustle business, I have a folder for film, music, other, I have a folder for my band, I have a folder for YouTube, and then there's just the recently deleted folder. And then I also have individual folders for just like every semester that I'm in school. And I also have, this is a lot, I also have a folder for all the different productions I've worked on, just so I can stay organized and know that everything that I need for this one show goes in one place. I think the reason why I love using the notes app is, number one, when there's a lot of different things in my head of like things I need to do, things I need to ask people about, errands I need to run here and there. And so the best way I can organize that is just to open a new notes app and just take everything that's in my brain and put it onto the page. And I know a lot of people like to do this on paper, but I don't know, I've always been a kind of electronic kind of gal. I like that everything is easily editable and you can delete things and change things as you need versus like erasing things. And then if you wrote it in pen, you just have to scribble it out. And so I've always preferred that. But I also do have a hard copy bullet journal. It's just a regular bullet journal. It's got the little dots, you know, and so I use this sometimes as well. I don't like to put everything on the physical hard copy page. I like to put it in the notes app and then organize it and then write down exactly what I need to do onto the bullet journal and then have it like be neat and organized because I've already sorted through it. The second thing I like to use my notes app for is writing down things that I don't want to forget, things that other people have said or just random ideas that I get that I don't know what to do with, but I want to write it down because it was a funny or cool idea. And also just journaling. I have like a mini journal type note in my notes app, and what I call it is note taking on life. And basically I just write down today's date and then I write down whatever it is I want to say, and that could just be how I've been feeling or something interesting that's happened or just something that's been going through my head. And that's one of my pinned notes. I have actually quite a few pinned notes and I'll go through all of them. My most frequently edited note is definitely shit I need to do, which is basically just my to-do list. And it's not just my to-do list for like the day or the week, but also just a running to-do list of all the things that I spend my time doing. And I have this written down so I can kind of tell you what I mean. But basically I sort everything that I spend my time doing into these little categories so I can kind of understand where my time is going, and I think it's really interesting. Basically the things that I spend my time doing are broken into 3 categories. First is health, so like basic living, taking care of yourself type things. And then 2 is career, so like what you would call productivity things or like working things. And then part 3 is consuming, so kind of what you would do in your free time, watching YouTube videos, reading books, and just taking in various forms of media. So for example, in the health category, I have things that help my mental health, which includes things like journaling and meditating. And then under diet and nutrition, I have things like drinking water and eating nutritious foods. And then fitness, which is basically the forms of exercising that I enjoy, which is like yoga and kickboxing and bodyweight exercises. And then the last thing under health is sleep hygiene. And then under career, I have a lot of different subcategories for this just because I have a lot of interests. I have filmmaking and then my business, and then I have this YouTube channel, and then I have my band, and then I have writing in general, whether it's journaling or music or what have you. And then I have art, which is basically just like me spending whatever free time I have just doing random things in my sketchbook. And then also photo shoots, which I do with my friends, and it's also like social time, but it's basically just for my Instagram. And then I have learn Chinese and Spanish ? I would love to spend more time learning languages, but it's hard, you know, there's only so many hours in a day. And last but not least, part 3 is just consuming books, music, movies, podcasts, and art. I have this written down just because I wanted to have it in my bullet journal, but there is this exact thing in my notes under shit I need to do, and it's editable. And because I am a living, breathing, changing person, it's nice when it's editable because I can just change it whenever I want to suit whatever person I am at the moment. And the cool thing is I've been using notes for a long time, so I didn't delete any of my old really long to-do lists, and it's just interesting to go back and see like things that I wanted to do with my time back when I was a different person. But the past version of me wrote down every little thing that was interesting to me, so I have this huge reading list, and here it said I wanted to be really good at motion graphics like Adobe After Effects because my friend was really good at it and I wanted to be like him. So I have a bunch of resources here. I wanted to learn how to write copy. I wanted to go through like all of the Lynda courses. I think basically the old version of myself was a lot more ambitious, but in a very wide net, as opposed to being ambitious in a smaller net, which I think is generally more beneficial. The next pinned note I have is what I talked about earlier, which is just note-taking on life, which is just basically my personal journal. Let's see when my first entry goes back to. My first entry is November 10th, 2017, and that's not even that old. Like, I haven't been journaling for a long time just because I was never somebody who could really commit to a journal. Like, even as a kid, I couldn't really commit to a diary. And so the fact that I've stuck with this, even though there's really large chunks of time where I just like didn't write anything, it's pretty impressive for me, I'm not gonna lie. My next pin note is just things that other people have said, sometimes what I've said, but mainly what other people have said that I thought were really funny or interesting or entertaining. I'll give you a few examples. I wonder what the divorce rate is for people who self-identify as entrepreneurs. Get yourself a man that watches porn for the storylines. What country would you live in outside of this one? Pangea. But basically it's just like funny little out of context snippets of conversations. But I don't know, I feel like those moments are often lost, and when you write them down you can enjoy them over and over again. Next, I have a pinned note called food plan, which is all the foods that I buy on a regular basis. So instead of making like a grocery list, which I still do, I just keep a running list of things that I buy. So for example, every time I go to Walmart, I typically buy these things, and every time I go to Costco, I typically buy these things. And so I just put them all on a list, so it's just like a go-to grocery list. My next pinned note is YouTube video ideas. That one's pretty self-explanatory. And then there's shit I need to buy. And basically that's a running list of things I would like to have in my life but have not yet purchased because they're not urgent enough for me to actually purchase. So random things I have on here are like, I would like to purchase reusable paper towels at some point because apparently that's a thing and that sounds eco-friendly, and so that appeals to me. An extra camera battery because I only have one, and one day that's gonna come back and bite me in the ass. Things like I need to get new eyelash curler pads, and I've always wanted to try a makeup setting spray but I've never bothered buying one, and so that's on my list. I guess this is useful when it comes around to like your birthday or Christmas and people are like, what do you want? It's just kind of like, it's here in this note, I can tell you about what I want. And it's just kind of nice because you don't have to think about it as you live your life and you think of things that would be useful for you to purchase. You can just kind of write them down. I don't know, seems like a pretty good idea. This is a pin note that I haven't written in a long time, but it's film ideas, and this is ideas for films that I want to make. My next pin note is various quotes that I enjoy. If you notice at the end of my videos, which most people do not get to, I usually have a quote at the end. At least for my like self-help style videos, I include a quote at the end that's like semi-relevant to the content of the video, and that's just because I like quotes. And here is where I keep a large arsenal of quotes for me to refer to at any given time. And my next pin note is just goals, and it goes back to just like the beginning of college, but basically just what are my goals for this year? What are my goals for this quarter? There's actually no goals for like the second and third quarter of this year because there was a pandemic, and so I was just kind of like, I can actually read my 2020 goals to you just because they're really pretty simple. I divided it into two parts, basically just like personal living goals and then like productivity career goals. So for the first part, improve mental health, work out at least 3 times a week, and then get more sleep. And then for productivity, I wanted to work on my business, I wanted to start this channel, and I wanted to record and distribute music. For both of these sets of goals, I've done 2 out of 3. Well, okay, I guess I've gotten more sleep. I've achieved 2 out of the 3 goals in each of these categories. My 2019 goals were so long. That was before I realized I am a human being. I can only accomplish so much. There's only so much I can put on my own plate and so much pressure I can put on myself before I just break down and do not enjoy living. So my 2020 goals were a lot simpler than my really long list of 2019 goals. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a glow up because it's good to realize that you are a singular person with a limited capacity for productivity and ambition. Next is kind of like my health and diet and fitness plan. And I'm not gonna lie, but this is kind of from the phase of my life where I had like disordered eating and body dysmorphia, which I made an entire video about if you want to know how I overcame that, and I'll link it in the description. I haven't updated this in a long time. Maybe I should just unpin it. And my last pin note is just workout, which is exercises that I like to do when I go to the gym. Because sometimes, you know, when you go to the gym and you just forget how to do anything besides push-ups and sit-ups and stuff, I just have some like random exercises. I wrote down some of the exercises that I did when I went to physical therapy because I hurt my back, and then I put a list of compound movements, and then I put like the weights of some of like the arm machines at the gym, so like I know what weight I typically like to use because I would never remember otherwise. And then I just have like upper body exercises, lower body exercises, Pilates exercises, TRX exercises, etc, etc. It's just a nice thing to reference when you're at the gym and you forget how to do the gym things. And now I'm gonna go into some of my regular unpinned notes. I have my grocery list. I have a running list of all the medications I take, both over the counter and prescribed, just because like when I go to the doctor and they're like, what medications are you taking? I just blank out and I forget all of them besides just like the one that I take every day. And chances are this is probably you as well. You probably forget, because like I forget these things. I forget that I take an allergy medication every day and that I take like my vitamin D supplement every day, because they seem like supplements and medications that aren't such a big deal, but it is still something that you want to mention to your doctor because it is still a drug and it's over the counter, but it's like still a drug, still a supplement, you know what I mean. This is something I did really recently because I went to the doctor's office and they wanted to know every single drug that you take ever, and I forgot a lot of them, so I wrote them all down just in case, so that next time I actually list all of them correctly. I have a note called therapy notes, and it's basically just after my therapy session I write down just like some things that I should remember from our session. And this is a really good piece of advice because I found that I would go to therapy, but like over time, like I wouldn't remember like what we did or what we worked on or what I learned. Taking notes in therapy is so underrated. I take notes after the session, but I think that taking notes during the session would also probably be more beneficial because it's like fresh and you just know you need to write it down and you have it right there. I have a note of just the hashtags I use on my Instagram so that I don't have to write them again every time. I just kind of use the same ones over and over. I have a bucket list. Things on this bucket list include see live slam poetry, do stand-up comedy, take pole dancing lessons, go to Sundance Film Festival, grow your own fruits and veggies. I wonder how many of these I'll get to. I have a note of just random ideas. So my friend was making a movie with people tap dancing in it, and I just thought it would be a great idea to have tap shoes with a mic attached to them so that you could get better quality audio. I don't know, I just thought that was a cool idea, so I wrote it down. Another idea I had was Shazam, but for movies. So if you were like watching a movie on the screen, you didn't know what it was, you could just like you do with Shazam, you know? That'd be cool. I think somebody was trying to do something like this, but I don't think it worked out super well because it's kind of hard to program that. I have a note of just TikTok ideas that I never executed because I don't know if I like the idea of making TikToks and being on TikTok, even though I've made like a few TikToks, but not like really high effort ones. Photo shoot ideas. There's not a whole lot of these. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Let's move into acting. And here I just have notes from like my jobs of like what I needed to remember. Like I have a whole like script of like everything I needed to talk about for this one acting job. And then I also have my stats. So like height, weight, shoe size, dress size. Agents ask for that stuff all the time, so I can just like have it ready to send to them. In my archive, there's a lot of different school notes, various things I wrote, my old list of colleges I wanted to apply to. Here's a fun thing I like to do. If I had a funny friend that said funny things that I wanted to write down, I would just start one note with all of the things that they say. So for example, I'll read some of the quotes that I have from one of my friends. Should I write a dictionary? Have you not heard me bash organized religion before? Emailing yourself? What are you, homeless? I don't want a pencil, I want a pen. I'm a real man. I have my library card number. I have like old high school to-do lists. I have notes from college night in 2015. Friends and selective admissions. Oh god, this takes me back. Under books, I basically just have book notes. So when I read a book, I like to take notes because otherwise it's way too easy to forget everything that was in the book. To be honest though, it's very rare that I ever finish a book. So these are just like unfinished book notes. Under the folder for my business, I just have a bunch of things I wanted to include on the website. I have notes from when I met with my mentor. I have different ideas for things that I wanted to do with the business. I have YouTube scripts because a part of my business was that I was gonna do a YouTube channel, but having 2 YouTube channels is kind of a lot. I'll start that eventually, somewhere down the line. And then I just have like a YouTube strategy list thing. I don't have a lot of things under film. I just have After Effects and Premiere keyboard shortcuts because I never remember the the keyboard shortcuts. I just know that there's a shortcut that does this one thing. And then I just have a long list of movies I want to watch that I never watched probably any of these. I have a very long watch list on Letterboxd. It'll be a miracle if I ever get through 50% of them. Under music, chord progression for God knows what song. I have a bunch of chord progressions and lyrics for songs that I've written that are mostly untitled because titles are hard. Another chord progression, another chord progression. I have notes from my vocal lessons that I took like a while ago. Let's see what's under the other folder. It's a lot of random stuff. I have like Christmas present ideas for my friends. I have a note that's just called list of essentials, and it's basically just like my packing list because I go back and forth between Orlando and Tallahassee a lot, and so I just have a list of essentials that I need in my life so that I don't forget anything when I pack. I have a list of thrift stores that I like, photography locations. I have my license plate number. I have my old high school locks that I use for lockers. I have the combinations in here. Under the Trash Cat folder, which is my band if you don't know that, marketing strategies for new songs, a lot of notes with just chords and lyrics for songs, and then we just have like goals and things that we wanted to get done. And last but not least, under YouTube, I basically have a bunch of videos that I want to make. I have one that's just like all my YouTube descriptions so I can just copy and paste it easily, and the rest of the notes are just scripts for the videos where I talk about like self-help topics because those are usually planned because they're like bullet points and everything versus videos like this or my like thrifted items video where I just kind of talk and I don't really plan it. I have one that's just like best times to post, and then I have a lot of half-baked video ideas and they're all just like in their own notes, and maybe one day I'll go back to them and actually make them. Okay, that was everything that was in my notes app. I hope you found that interesting in some way. I just thought it would be kind of a unique and cool video idea and kind of a way for you guys to understand me better because I feel like this is a pretty interesting way to get to know somebody. If you have any thoughts on this video, feel free to leave it down below. If you have any videos that you want to see me make, leave them down below. I am open to suggestions. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and happy, and I will see you next time. Bye!